Welcome back everybody, boys and gals, to Leo Jaws and Iron Lady Vita. I haven't done a video for quite some time now. I've been relaxing ever since I did the really heavy pull. I must say my nervous system was all the way down because I just couldn't get around for having a proper mindset to train again. And what can I say? I trained for another week. It felt really heavy, and then I pulled a little bit of muscle. In something very light, just with my own body. So that is the thing that usually happens after you do a really big pull and you don't stop to reset. I always keep on going until this happens, and your body has its own way of telling you stop, and that's exactly what I did. I stopped for a little bit more than 2 weeks. I only trained, and last week I actually trained very light because that's how the schedule was. I'm doing some kind of a powerlifting regime that will help you increase your personal best in bench press, squats, deadlifts, stuff like that. And it has like 3 weeks going 70%, 75%, 80%, then a week going really light, then 75, 80, 85, then a week light, and each cycle of 3 weeks, of 4 weeks actually, you're going to increase it by 5% until in the 4th month, by the end of it, you will reach a new personal best. Who knows, it's a pretty long program. I want to stick to it. Even if it doesn't work, I'll still get the benefit out of it because my goal was like a pretty big. It was like a 15 kilo jump from my previous personal best. So even if I don't do it, I'll still do a personal best by 1 kilo or whatever. But it's really interesting for me to see how that's going to work out, because I have done successfully, I might add, some regimes. One that lasted for 2.5 months. The thing was that more or less it was the same kind of training, only that it didn't have, in between each 3 weeks, it didn't have the 1 week off. What can I say? You know, I think the 1 week off, it really boosts your metabolism and will to train. Because by the time I got to the 3rd week, I was really feeling, oh man, I need to train again. I don't feel like it. I haven't recovered properly. But after this week of training just light and completely other movements than the ones that you do in the other 3 weeks, I really felt like the last 2 days that I was already fully recovered. I was feeling, man, I want to train, and I said to myself, no, stop, don't do it now. Take this other 2 days off as it is written on the schedule, and then do it on Monday, which is today. And today I really feel that I'm fully recovered and I want to train. How it's going to be, that remains to be seen on the next video. I'm going to keep you updated to the progress, and I will also put on the actual regime so you see it. Who wants to try it with me, go ahead and do it. Especially that now, very soon, most of the things will start opening up with the lockdown, And who knows, maybe also the gyms will be able to open, or you will have access to newer places where you could have some weights or something. Not everybody has tons of weights like me at home. Yeah, so today I will also be starting to hang by the teeth. My goal right now is to try and do a personal best when it comes to the first warm-up set. So I need to check the videos, but I think that the highest warm-up set I've ever done was me and another 140 kilos. I did pick up some weight, not very much, but I think like a kilo or max 2 kilos during the lockdown. It's not much. I know it's not much. I might add that I didn't hold myself back from anything whatsoever. I've been eating no problem. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to start out light with just my body now. Just one set, nothing more. And work myself up. I'm going to have 3 trainings, maybe even 4 this week. In order, I want to go, by the end of this week, I want to be back to, let's say, 70 or 80 kilos plus my body. So, yeah, just my body today. I've been watching, you see I have the nice armchair here. I've been watching the whole episode of Clone Wars, season 7, all 12 episodes. I need to tell you, I actually watched all of these episodes from the very beginning, you know, when they were releasing them back, I think almost 10 years ago, when they started the whole thing. I was up to date with each and every episode, you know, every time they came out. On the other hand, I kind of lost interest with the whole, I don't know, I think it's been like 4 years of a gap in between seasons since Disney took over. So I took a break, and now, since they started again, I said no, let it be, let them release all 12 of them, and then I'm going to watch them. So I watched 3 the first day, another 3 the second day, and then I tell you, it gets better and better with each episode. And the third day, the last day, I watched the last 6, all 6 episodes. It's not a big deal, you know, because they're only like 24 minutes each. So it's basically a 2-hour movie, a little bit more than a 2-hour movie. So it's not a big task. You can actually watch all 12 of them in one day. You know, just imagine that you're watching the extended version of Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, and that's it. Yeah, but I'm telling you, you know, I was in tears in the final episode. The music, I might add that in this season, it's absolutely the best out of all the other seasons. It really gives you that feeling that you're watching a proper Star Wars movie, something that we haven't seen for a very, very long time. You know, you're actually having, you know, even the start with Lucasfilm at the very beginning, it gives you that feeling that it's George Lucas involved. And I don't know at what extent George Lucas is involved in this season, but it revolves very much around episode 3. That's like the period where the whole thing takes place. And it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, we all know, because we have seen Ahsoka Tano, we know that she doesn't die during Order 66, because we have seen her in Star Wars Rebels, so it's not a spoiler. But it goes more deep into her story this season. And I think the whole Clone Wars is pretty much about Ahsoka Tano, and of course going deep into the feelings of Anakin Skywalker. But this season is not so much about Anakin Skywalker, it's mostly Ahsoka. And I think Ahsoka is one of the greatest achievements done character-wise in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe in the last decade. You know, 15 years, ever since Revenge of the Sith. Alright, so that's it. Enough with that. I'm doing this, and then I'll talk a little bit more about pop culture. Vita has been training her straps here. I don't want to move her things away, so I'm just going to put it probably here. Yeah, probably here. Because it's so difficult during the lockdown to train. So normally she does like 5 roll-ups on the straps, but since she doesn't have place, she just does 3 now. But it helps, it really helps. So yeah, I'm not doing anything with those because if I move them, she's going to have to measure them to be equal again, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to move them when I'm doing the heavier weights, but now it should go really smooth, and I'll see how it feels. Yeah, just like I thought, it feels really great. You know, I could let go of the hands pretty fast, it wasn't a problem. I was a bit careful, you know, knowing how it felt before the break, and since each time I could easily go for a lot more, but that's the whole point. There's no reason to burn yourself out, especially now that I'm not performing, you know. So what I'm going to do is take this armchair. Yeah, no, that was spontaneous actually. Yeah, what I'm going to do is go slowly, work myself up, hopefully do 145 or 150 for the warm-up set plus my body. I don't want to do a very long cycle as I did when I did the really big pull. I just want to do a shorter one. Maybe it's going to be, let's say, a month altogether. And then I'm going to have another break for 1 or 2 weeks maybe, especially that the heat is coming. So I don't want to force it, you know, and then cycle it, go hold it on an average thing. I'm happy with holding myself at around 100 kilo on a daily basis. I could do it now. I could do it now, it's not a problem. But that's the whole thing. I want to increase. There's no point in doing something, boom, and then the next time you want to train. No, the point is in every training, and not only in teeth hanging, in everything, is to get this mindset that each time you do it, you're increasing the weight and you're getting better and better. Even though you're not getting better than what you've been before, but since the new cycle, you're getting better and better, and then eventually you will reach new heights. But if you go all out from the first training or from any given training, it will be harder for you at the next time. So you should hold your strength for the big pull that is at the very end of the cycle. Yeah. So I'll be doing shoulders and traps today. There's no point for me to film that. You know, I'll film it when I get closer to the PR, because I've already done a video about shoulders and traps. And yeah, I'll make sure to do another video of some other training days, because that was the initial plan, but then I didn't really feel like it. I must say I didn't feel like doing any videos anymore because of the lockdown, and I've been really busy writing. I finally got this rhythm going because I have a science fiction book that I wanted to write for quite a few years now, and it's been in my head in different forms, and I started to write it, I didn't like it, I started to write it again, and rewrites, but the whole problem was that the rewrites weren't of the whole story, because I didn't have a clear image of the whole story. There were rewrites of the first 25, 30, 40 pages. And then by the time I got to those 40 pages, every time I got stuck, because it's really hard to get this mindset to start writing. And you know, I had this now, I've been doing the whole lockdown, I've been writing at least 1,000 words every day. Some were more quality than the others, I must admit that. But now at least I have like a proper skeleton of the story, and I know where it starts, how it all develops, and where it ends. And I only need to get back and make it look like it is the way I always intended to be. That's basically the second draft of the story. And I need to connect each chapter to the one before and the one that comes after, in order to make them really feel like one piece. Not just, you know, a chapter there and a chapter there with their own story. No, they need to coexist into the same big story. Yeah, so hopefully this week or the next week I'll finish the first part of the story, because it's probably going to be a trilogy, because that's the whole hype. You know, I've been raised on trilogies. Star Wars is a trilogy, you know, that's the best example I can give. But it might be a duology also. I'm still working. I need to see how beefy the next part of the story is, and then I'll really decide. But the whole thing is that trilogies really work. Why? Because drama is built on 3 acts. Everything is built on 3 acts. In the first act, you introduce everybody, you tell what everything is and what they want to accomplish. Then in the second act, you throw them into the black hole, into the worst situation possible. And then in the third one, eventually they will get out. That's a 3-act play, that's drama. And each story in itself, each book, each movie, each part of the trilogy has its own 3-act play also. Of course, you can go back to, for example, like Lord of the Rings, which is almost double the time of that, and also the book it's biffy. Then you get the 5-act play, and you can even get the 7-act play. But it is the same principle, which that is the way it is. And that's also the way dialogue is built. You have one thing you're telling in one chapter, and then the next one goes there to contradict the other one. And then the third one will be contradicting the second one, but will be the same as the first one. And that's how they go. They contradict themselves. And that is also how dialogue, in order to make it interesting, that is how you need to do it. You will not have 2 people kissing each other's asses, agreeing on everything. Unless you want to make a point with that. But an interesting dialogue is conflict. Even the internal dialogue of the main character needs to be in contradiction. It's one part that goes left and one part that goes right. If you have somebody that is made of one piece and is just going there, you're going to have a one-dimensional character, and there isn't pretty much you can work with that. But when you will have a three-dimensional character with the consciousness pulling him in 1,000 directions, then you'll have an interesting character. Yeah. So, as maybe you guys remember, I was telling you that I was going to start also another channel oriented towards pop culture. Well, here's the thing. I decided that I'm not going to start that channel, but I am going to talk about all those things in just one channel. This one, Leo Jaws and Iron Lady Vita. Make sure to like and subscribe. Okay? So just to give you a little bit of a teaser, I'm going to show you my new shelf that I bought just the shelf. I had the figures before, of what I am going to show you in the next video. That's the shelf with the Transformers. There they are, exactly. And make sure to write to me, and I'll do reviews of certain figures. I know that these are, figures that have been around on the market for quite a few years. So there have been people doing reviews for hundreds of times. But hey, it's never bad to get another review from another guy, And, if I have them, I'm going to be pretty positive with most of the figures, because just the way I am, I just love figures. And yeah, I think you can find a little bit of the soul of the maker in every figure. So I think in that way, every figure has its own soul. Yeah. So, always remember and never forget, one shot, that's all it counts.